Hello everyone, this is Mr. Burdette once again. Today I'm going to try to start a video or a series of videos on trigonometry. I pretty much just want to lay the foundation of what trigonometry is, not so much as to how to utilize it. You're not going to get all that in this one video, but this is the intro. So it's very important that you at least understand what you're looking at before you enter trying to actually calculate and work with trigonometry. So the very first question I think that everyone should ask themselves is, what is trigonometry? What is it? You know, some people understand that it's a class in high school. Yes, it is. And sometimes that class is called Algebra with Trig. Sometimes it's an AP class or algebra class for some particular students that enter advanced algebra or in their sophomore year. Yes, it is a class, but more so, what is trigonometry? Think about it. You think about it for a second. All right. So, yeah, if they formed a class around it, it must be very important. So, let's actually, this is my rendition of what trigonometry is. It's the study of right triangles. Right triangles, as far as their side lengths and the angles that they form. Okay? It's the study of right triangles as far as their side lengths and the angles that they form. So, trigonometry focuses on, as we can see so far, right triangles. So, we're not talking about isosceles triangles, equilateral triangles, obtuse triangles, any type of other type of triangles. We're only focusing on right triangles. That's the first thing we need to understand. The parts of the word, you can see triangle and it look like it says geometry. So like triangle geometry or trigonometry sounds like triangle measurements. Okay, so we're going to look closely at the geometry of triangles or the triangle measurements that are formed with right triangles. I like to refer back to things that we know. So before we delve deep into this trigonometry, or at least focus a little bit more on what it is or what it isn't, we're going to look at what we do know. So let's look at our residual knowledge. Let's focus on something that we should have learned, or videos that you may have watched prior to this. Some other focus. The Pythagorean theorem. You're right. So the Pythagorean theorem deals with right triangles as well. When do we use the Pythagorean theorem? Or when does it come in handy that you learn, 8th graders? Exactly. When you have two sides of the right triangle or two sides of an inconspicuous right triangle, and you need to find the third side length. Okay, so what do we mean by this? So if I had a side length of 3 here, so let's just say 3 for now, you leave the units off, and this side was 4, okay, then we can find this missing side using the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared, this is the formula, plus b squared is equal to what? That's right, c squared, where a and b are your legs of your right triangle and c would be the hypotenuse. And over here, what if we had some points here and a point here, and they ask you, what is the distance between the 2 points? Well, this is that inconspicuous situation. It doesn't look like a right triangle, but it pretty much is. Can't you see it? Yes, it's on the coordinate grid, and if we want to find the distance from here to here, then basically we can find the height, bam, and we can find the base. And then whatever those lengths are, we can use a squared plus b squared equals c squared to find the length of this. In this case, now it looks clearly like a hypotenuse. Alright, so basically, we use the Pythagorean theorem when we have two sides of a right triangle given to us or hidden from us, and then we can utilize them to find the missing side length. So we know that. And that's the Pythagorean theorem. However, with trigonometry, we're talking about something different. Okay? We're talking about right triangles, but there's something different about the right triangles that we're looking at, or that we are given. So let's say, for instance, we had this right triangle, but in this particular case, let's say, for instance, that we are given this side length 5, and let's say then we're given an angle instead of another side length, and we're going to call this angle, let's say it's 45 degrees. Okay, so can we use the Pythagorean theorem with this? No, we can't use the Pythagorean theorem. We don't have two missing side lengths, but we do have a side length and we have an angle. So what in the world can we do to actually figure out this missing side length? Well, before we actually learn how to do that, I'm going to show you that in the next video. Let's actually talk about what's happening with this. Okay, so trigonometry is the study of right triangles as far as their side lengths and the angles that they form. Okay, so let's delve into this. I want you to think about it, what we're looking at. If this side is 5, then this side is going to be a certain length, x. I don't know what the side length is right now because we haven't done any calculations, but it's going to be a certain side length so that this can be 45 or a 45 degree angle. This side x cannot be any height so that it forms 45 degrees. Let's think about that, or just look at it a little bit closer. I'm just going to hold this line here. Instead of this thing going all the way up here, or this height extending all the way up here, let's say, for instance, this side is still 5. Okay, it's a length of 5 from here to here. But let's say, for instance, I brought this height down. Would the height become smaller? Yes. Whatever x was is x minus something now. It's shorter than it was before. But what also changes? That's right. That angle measure that was once 45 degrees, if we think about it, is going to be smaller than 45 degrees. So if I bring down the height some more, I'm going to bring down the angle measure some more. So basically, for this right triangle to form a 45 degree angle, if this side length is 5, this side length, or the height, is going to have to be one particular measure, because once I start moving it up and down, it's going to be another type of measure. The angle is going to change. So only one particular height we can put here that will make this turn into 45 degrees. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about angles, as far as the angles that are formed in relation to the side lengths of a right triangle. So when we're talking about the study of trigonometry, we're talking about, hey, if this side is 5, then this side got to be a certain length if it's going to form a 45 degree angle. Now, if that was a 27 degree angle, then we'll say, hey, if this side was this length, then this side got to be exactly this length, so this can be 27 degrees. So then we start putting side lengths over particular side lengths and start actually saying, hey, if this is this length long and this is this particular height, then it's going to form this particular angle. All right, so but when you start messing with those lengths, you get different angle measures. So I'm going to stop right here because it seems like I'm rambling, and we're going to actually get a little bit more particular as to how to find this length x using trigonometry. Okay, all right, talk to you later.